Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C. Super excited to be here this Monday morning with our very special guest. This is brought to you by BALM Global and the Connected Leaders Academy. So today we have David Chametzky. He is a producer, author, media host, growth coach, mentor, and philanthropist. He is the producer of the coaching and mentoring curriculum to assist you find time to soar on your path to and resources for empowering personal growth and resilience program. David is an Amazon #1 best-selling author of 3 books, Proximity to Power, Cracking the Rich Code, and Coaching Legend. Jim Britt, Shark Tank co-founder Kevin Harrington, endorsed by Tony Robbins, The Lessons I Learned from Being an Entrepreneur, and his first solo book, When Your Heart Says It's Your Time to Soar. David Chametzky is a media host of the internationally high-ranking podcast Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Just like his podcast and programs, he puts people who are ready for higher levels of living and succeeding to soar or be on the path to powerful personal growth. For other people whose life challenges have taken them to their knees, David Chametzky Phoenix Rising program lifts them up from the ashes and resources them to soar at levels they've never experienced before. And following his heart of philanthropic community support, David Chametzky co-founded the organization Goons ForGood, serving people who are in need of hope and resources. Without further ado, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting David at BLN Live back in December 10th of last year. And since then, we have just been connecting and in so many communities together. And I'll bring him right on. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
I am well. My weekend was good, productive, and relaxing at the same time. I don't know if that can happen, but we make it work, right?
It's all about the balance. I mean, we talk about balance, and one of the things that I specialize is, learning. Once you learn that balance, it's amazing what you could do and how more productive you could be when you really respect the balance of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Well, I am so happy to have you here. Again, we had the honor of, sharing the room with some great speakers and just getting some insight in personal growth and coaching. First, let's say, how important is that for you as far as coaching and mentoring, not only being one, but actually having some?
Yeah, you definitely need to. You can't know all the answers. And really one of the things that I always talk about is if we're living, we have to grow. And you grow with people, you need to have mentors. You need to have people to kind of put things in perspective at times. Not only are you doing that for other people, but we also have to acknowledge what we could do differently, say it differently, look at things differently, because I have to tell you, that's really where growth comes in from. It's not reading the same book over and over again. Growth comes from reading different books, meeting different types of people. And when you do that, that's really where the strength of growth really comes from, is learning different ideas, not only from your own background, but from backgrounds who are completely different than yours. That's why we love traveling. Traveling isn't just sitting on a beach. And look, a lot of people might do that, but traveling is experiencing life that's different than yours.
That's awesome. And you said something really important about a different perspective. And it's so important. Sometimes we choose not to get advice from other people, or we think we know everything about us and our business and, just our life itself. But when you see or when you get feedback from an outsider looking in, that is so important, because you can pick and choose what you believe that they say based on, action, results, and things like that. But you always need an outside view at some point, whether you're going to accept it or not. So that's very important. Thank you for highlighting that. But let's just know who Dave is. Who is David Chametzky? Where did you come from? What's a little bit about your background, and how did you get to where you're at today?
Well, as a Grateful Dead, it's been a long, strange, weird road. Um, or even Paul McCartney also had a song like that. So Dave Chametzky, I was born. My dad was in the Air Force. So I was born in Texas, and as he was being discharged, honorably discharged, and he came back to Brooklyn. I mean, him and my mom, were Brooklynites their whole lives, or as I sometimes say with all my Philly friends, North Philly, right? It's either South Brooklyn or North Philly. They're really all the same thing. We're all the same, and that's really where I grew up and had the foundation, which some of it was good, some of it wasn't. Like most of us, I was picked on, which gave me different perspectives to look at things and how trust is built. So, that's one of those things that we overcome. And I've had a career in corporate America over 30 years in legal. I'm not a lawyer, so nobody's getting sued. But you learn so many different things by having that strength in having different opportunities. That's the thing is I'm like Mikey in the old Late Life commercial. Give it to Dave, he'll figure it out. And sometimes I didn't want to figure it out. 40 years ago, one of the big things I do talk about now is mental wellness and mental health. And that's why, I've been a coach for longer than that story that's going to start in 4 years ago. But I knew how to assist people because you were saying we know that already. I say that there's a disease most of us have. When we think we know all the answers, it's called ICTA, and it stands for I know that already, and it really does hold us back. I say, yeah, because we all have been there. We all have done something that we're like, yeah, I know that. But are you doing what you need to do? Are you not knowing it, but are you taking the action? And that's where I go back to my story about 4 years ago when I tried to kill myself. I knew how to help everybody else. I wasn't taking care of Dave. And now I know that that's the first thing I have to do in the morning. I have to do my meditation. I have to take care of myself so I'm able to manage whatever life throws at me. And life will throw at you things like that. And that's really where I come from now. Is the person who I was 4 years ago was a good person. It wasn't a bad person. Did I make bad decisions? Sure. Was I the best father? Was I the best husband? No. Guilty as charged. But the answer is, was I a good person? Did I always believe good intentions? And I believe everybody has good intentions. And when they share those good intentions, they really start, it might not feel right because we all have different languages on how we operate. And so I've learned a lot of things. And obviously, I'm glad that I didn't succeed in suicide. And for those who are thinking about that, go seek help. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It could be a priest. It could be a mentor. It could be a coach. Somebody who knows that also when things get out of their lane, that they can hand you off to somebody else. Because, and I also will want to share a very important statistic: 89% of people who attempt suicide are not successful. We hear a lot about the successes, but there's a lot more people who are not successful. And then there's other shame and things like that. Now, I'm not shameful that to talk about it. I'm shameful that I led myself to do it. But we make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and that's where I am now, mentoring and assisting people to not go down that dark path.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, God definitely has a purpose for you for sure. And I'm glad
For sure.
that, you are here. I was able to, meet you, and we're in community together. So, and that's a pretty high statistic for, what we're going through these days in our lives, and, the challenges that we face every day with the imposter syndrome, or am I worthy? Am I enough? And, what is my life purpose? And if we're not actually seeking those things, we're never going to get the answers. If we're just standing still and, just existing and living life to just be here and do what they condition us to do as far as, get a job, go to school, do all that stuff. We are really put here for a purpose. And when you cannot find that purpose, or you have tried every angle to really see what you're put on this earth to do, that's why it's so important to have someone that you can speak to. And trust me, there's plenty of people out there waiting for you so that they can share their story. Thank you so much, Dave, for that. Now, what was the biggest turning point in your life, through the challenges you said you were picked on? Was that elementary school, high school? Like, what turned, at what point were you able to gain the confidence to not really think about those things?
Yeah, well, guilty. The answer is yes. Elementary school, middle school, high school. I had friends along the way, so it's not that I was this isolated person. Really, I'd have to say I went through the majority of my life, with those limiting beliefs. You start believing that because there's also, comments that we make even lovingly that might hold others back, depending on how we receive it. You said the word accept before. I always think let's receive how we receive the information, because when we receive the information, it becomes so much more powerful. When it doesn't become as sometimes it doesn't become as personal, and sometimes it also becomes, really harmful. It becomes an obstacle in our life. I'll give you an example. My dad, he got smarter once he passed away, and not that I saw what he was doing. He didn't teach it the right way, though he did teach it with love. The things he taught me, are things that I do hold back in my life that I understand differently, and it's how it's received. Much like a conversation like this is really powerful because it's how you receive it. You might hear me say something and be like, "Oh yeah, like the imposter syndrome." Imposter syndrome is because we don't believe we belong in the rooms that we belong in, or that we're worthy. Because people have told us, maybe they said, and I'll use me as an example. Dave, you can't do that. Dave, you're not good at that. And eventually, you start believing those things, and that's really one of the things that they start coming in. And that's why when you always see me in green when I'm speaking, in my teals, because teals are green. It's a healing color. It's a grounding color. And really, that's the power that I think we all need to figure out for ourselves when we've gone through it. Look, I've been divorced. My wife had cheated on me. So, two girls. So even after I tried to commit suicide, that was not tied together. It was years later. But then I had to be an adult, and I had to talk to my girls about it as teenage girls. And as talking to teenagers is poking the beast anyway. But I believe in honesty, in talking and speaking, and also making sure that people hear what I say. At the beginning, there's so many stories I could share with your audience on what brought me here, but it's all those little pieces that add up. I mean, I had a girlfriend who was killed by a drunk driver, and I carried 35 years of survivor guilt in that, which I didn't realize till the pandemic. That's why when people say the pandemic was bad, it's all your experience. The pandemic was, I don't want to say great for me, but it was really good. It helped me focus and clear out things that I never knew were triggers for me.
Yeah, I always say that 2020 is perfect, right? And to be smacked in the face with COVID in the year of 2020, I really believe that it was just an eye opener for us to kind of reevaluate, reassess what our purpose is. And, some people just sat back and, just waited for something to happen, while others really took advantage and said, you know what, if not now, when? Because that's when I was able to step out in faith from my corporate job to say, you know what, it's about me and helping others as well, and being able to be that voice of reason. But you said something that was that I wanted to kind of touch base on a little bit more, and that is let me not lose my train of thought, because there were so many great things that you said. Just give me 1 second. You said something about, oh God, I can't even think of it right now, but I'm going to get it. Like? I'm definitely going to get it. I believe that I'm not pinpointed, Dave, but we'll move on. And when I get it, I'm going to probably have to, I'm sure we will, because it was very important. I really wanted it. I should have just said that first and then made my comments, but it's okay. We're here. We're human. It happens. Let's talk a little bit about some of these books you have. Proximity to Power, Cracking the Rich Code. What led you or inspired you to write? And which one of, I mean, I'm sure if you wrote them all, or even you co-authored any of them, there has to be, you must love them all because your message is your message. Which one is holds near and dear to you?
Well, that's easy. It's my first solo book. Not that I don't love the compilation. I think being in the right community is always so important. So the first book that I ever published, that was published with as me as one of the co-authors, was with Dr. Greg Reed. So many people don't know who he is. He has a secret knock. He's one of the leaders in San Diego, thought leaders. He's an amazing gentleman as well. I mean, when I go back talk about my suicide, he called me up personally and was like, "What the hell did you do? And let's go figure this shit out." And I go, I can't leave. I have my daughter, but he called me up personally. So I have a very special spot in my heart for Greg. And for the other books that I wrote, there's a piece of me in each one of those. When you write, I always wanted to be a writer. One of my limiting beliefs was I didn't think I could be a writer. And so having that book was like, wow, that was powerful. But nothing helped, and I'm going to just put it up, is touching my own personal book. When your heart says it's your time to soar. Well, you were there, right? At BLN, we were at the pizza place. Yeah. I still get chills. I finally got the box with my books. And even though I had seen the cover, I had held the cover. I made sure I printed out the cover. Holding the actual book, man, that sets you on a different level. That wasn't an ego piece. That was, I've had that book cover on Times Square in New York City, actually with right next to a picture of Patrick Mahomes. So anytime I get to have that opportunity, I do share that. But the idea is to hold on to that book. That book means more to me than anything else. And I don't care what the reviews are. The reviews are actually really good because the book is really about what makes my heart soar, but also giving everybody those Pathfinder perspectives, those opportunities to remember about your first love. What good is it? Or even the love that you're in right now, to make that like your first love, that special feeling that you know exactly what you want. And there's so many stories about perseverance in there. I have a story, I have inspirational ideas and things like that. There's a piece on every page is a piece of my heart in that book. And I love the opportunity to share that book because it really is one of those special moments, not only about me. It's not about my business. This is about humanity. And I love being part of communities that it's about humanity, not only about business.
That's awesome. Where can we get the book? Can we get it directly from you? Should we go to Amazon? How can we get the book?
Well, I'll tell anybody who gets it directly from me will get it personally autographed. So that's the easy piece. You can go to my website, reach out to me, and we'll get you a copy of the book. That's easy. You can go. It is on Amazon, so you can buy it on Amazon, and whichever way you want to do it. But I always like to.
You won't get an autographed copy.
Yeah, I always enjoy the opportunity to connect with people. So if there's a preference, I'd say reach out to me in any way on social media or on my website, because I really like the building of community.
I agree. I just love when you said that there's a little bit of you're in every page. And I believe now as a published author as well. And I was there when you got your book, and I seen that light on your face, which is exactly what I felt. Having read the book, having written my book, seeing the manuscript, getting the final, seeing it uploaded on Amazon, on Kindle, and then you actually feel it. You're touching it. You're like, this is my life's work. This is, something I put together. This is my thoughts. And even if it just changes one person's life, it did the job, right? That's what we always say. And it's so true. So I definitely need to get a copy of your book, because I feel like we have so much to say. And even in such a condensed book, it's really not our whole life story. So it's so important that when you read these books, you connect with the authors in our communities, because they have poured their hearts out really in this, and you're going to have those aha moments. That's what I feel like when I heard you speak at BLN Live. And I think you did it again when you spoke this weekend at Raul and Jessica's event, which was, yes, the Heart of Healing. Yep, absolutely. And what I notice is that you adapt so quickly to, like, we all have kind of the same message, right? And we just want to make sure that we inspire and we give you exactly the tools that you need, the mindset, the hope, the dreams. Everything is possible in your life, that you do not have to doubt yourself. You do not have to think that, why me? Why can't I do it? And you said it before. This is what I wanted to say. You said it's not just about reading the book or reading the book over and over again. It's about applying each book that you read, especially when it comes to personal development. So how would you inspire someone that is having kind of that smidge of doubt in their mind, that they just feel like they're not worthy of, the abundance of blessings that we're all promised?
Yeah, so there's two ways. One, I just want to go back to the book for 1 second. The book that I wrote, you could pick up any page. So it's not necessarily like you have to read from page 1 to page whatever it ends on. There's inspiration, and that's exactly how I wrote it, and that's why it comes from my heart. Now, to answer your question, really, how do you do it? If we're going to doubt something, why don't you doubt your doubts? That's really what we do. Is when we can overcome this. A doubt is a fear. And I always say there's a lot of definitions of fear, right? Face everything and run. You could totally do that. But I always go face everything and rise. When you rise, when you look for the opportunities to do that. And, I once at a speaking gig, they were like, well, but how do you say, you tried to, hurt yourself. You tried to kill yourself. And I go, yeah. I wasn't fearful. I actually was in the calmest mode that I could ever be. But what I didn't see all the possibilities. All I saw was the negativity. And you need to kind of make sure you bring a light to wherever you are. And when you bring a light, it will always, always push out the darkness. That's why you need to reach out to people. Just even do something. Don't fake it till you make it. No, don't fake it. Acknowledge what you're in. When I talk about the phoenix rise and you're in your ashes, know how you got there, why you got there, what it feels like. And don't go there again. And learn that you shouldn't go back. In fact, Nikki, you and I know I was playing with your son at the what event? The AMA event, right? With Mario, right? So when you hit that, and when I talk about life is like that also. It is like a game of Mario, right? And once you get to a level, you can't go back to the beginning. Once you've learned something, you can't unlearn it. It's a choice. Once we make our choices, that's the really important part, is learning how to not go back. And you might have other obstacles. You might have other challenges. But what you do in each time. And that's why it's really important to create wellness plans, create those Phoenix plans, the Phoenix flight plans for the people who work with me. There's so many different ways to overcome, but a lot of it is just looking at yourself in the face and seeing how you can rise yourself out of the challenges.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said something about, my thing is why do people fear themselves, their greatness, their possibilities, and all that stuff? So it's just crazy. Like, do you agree that why would people fear themselves and what their possibilities are, and if they just take a chance on themselves?
Yeah, it's limiting beliefs, right? It's things how we've done before, and our brain summarizes really what we do, and that's part of our challenge. Is that if you've had, let's say, successes, that's why many people go, "Oh, I've dated people like him." Then see exactly what you need to look at, and things like that. You need to look at those things, but that's where we get scared. The monsters in our head are much scarier than the monsters under our bed, right? We're always willing to put a flashlight under our bed and be like, yeah, there's no monster. Lift up the blanket or things like that. But in our head, we'd rather live in our head, which we live all the time, even when we're with our partners. But we're not always willing to look at those monsters. We're not willing to do that. We're willing to say, hey, it's Dave's fault for this. It's Dave's fault for that. Or Nikki did this to me. If we could fix ourselves, that's one of the things. That's why I walk around with the green suits. I mean, not everybody walks around in a bright green suit. I'm happy who I am, no matter what I do. That's why when I say bring a bat, it's not about violence. It's about bringing an awesome thought. It's knowing who you are, being authentic today. Those are powerful parts. And that's what really sets you onto that next level in life, is breaking the patterns that aren't working for you, but not realizing it. You have to, that's why it's so helpful when you are in a community where you do find the right people to talk to you to help you see something differently.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I'm excited. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break and listen to our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Welcome, welcome. We are back here on BALM Podcast. We have our very special guest, Dave Chametzky, and we just been talking about the power of community, the power of, tearing out those limiting beliefs that we have in our hearts and really start paving that path that we're meant to be on. So you have a bat that you bring, and I wish I would have had my picture ready that we took at the AMA event, because that was a great picture, and you do it all the time. And it's Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat is your podcast as well. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that the pandemic brought me to. The idea that I wanted, I knew that I speak, and I knew I always meet incredible people who have missions and statements and things like that. And I love talking about peace and love. Peace is really that inner peace. So when we go, it goes in the Bible and things like that. If you can control what's inside of you, the rest of it changes. The rest of your life. If you could be the change in an environment, the rest of your environment changes. Now, people could still have their own beliefs. People could still have their own things. But when you're happy, when you can make that peace within yourself, it doesn't matter what they all do. It doesn't matter. You're trying to teach, again, I'll go back to teenage girls, teaching my girls, oh, but this one said this, that one said that. It doesn't matter. If you're happy with yourself and you know you've done the right thing, that's fine. If you didn't, then you need to make it right. And that goes back into then the love. Love, I teased everybody because I like to do it. Is raise your hand if you have, if you love pizza, and everybody raises their hand because pizza is one of those things we all love. And New York pizzas is the best, just to tease everybody who's that. Yeah, nah, I like the Chicago deep pizza, but New York is the best. Give me some crisp pizza, I'm already good. But everybody has something different. So even you said Chicago, which is fine, but that's you don't love pizza. Okay, so let's take that out. You don't love your car. You don't love your pen. You don't love items. And if you do, that's a completely different story. Love is an energy. You can like all those things. You can like those things as much as you want. We love people. We love animals. We love living things. We love trees, and completely different. But that's the things, because you're moving in energy, and all those. Even those things that I mentioned, the pen, the pizza, it's all energy. It's sure it is all energy. But there's a different love that I talk about. Is on Saturday I spoke about unconditional love. Are you going to love pizza no matter what? No, we're not going to love pizza. So if your pizza is undercooked, are you going to still love pizza? No. If you love somebody, you're going to love them through the good, through the bad, and everything else in between. You're going to love them 100%. That doesn't mean that they have to love you back. What your expectations. That's why tomorrow, Valentine's Day, I'm going to get a gift and she's going to love it. I don't care. I give out gifts all year long, and it doesn't matter. I don't even care if they like it. I mean, I've sent flowers to people who I know, who I love, and they might not want to receive it in the way that it was intended. I give out gifts all the time just because I want to share my love, and how you put up boundaries, and that's okay. It's on you, and that's why. And then when we talk about the bat, well, the bat, you can all hear. I'm from New York. I have that New York attitude. I have that, and attitude's not a bad thing. It depends on what you want to do. So, but the bat is not about going to knock somebody out. I'm not a tough guy, but I will bring awesome thoughts today, and I will be authentic today and all days that you see me. So those are the bats that I talk about when I talk about knowing your boundaries, knowing what you need to do to hit your sweet spot, that moment. And anybody who's gripped a bat and hit a baseball or a softball or a tennis ball or anything, it just feels right. It doesn't mean that you hit a home run. A home run isn't always the best thing in the world, but hitting the ball the best way possible, doing the best that you can all the time. Now that's bringing the bat.
Absolutely. When things are thrown at you, if you can even tap it, touch it in some way, shape, or form, that means the focus is starting to happen and you're really starting to get the swing of what your purpose is. So I love your analogy. I love the way you bring it to every event, and you bring that power of positivity, that power of possibility, that power of just the peace and love. I feel it every time we're in the room together, every time we speak. And it is just absolutely amazing, because we are in these days right now where people are really not, like we said before, they're really not believing in themselves. And it goes back to those limiting beliefs and the choice to be happy or unhappy, the choice to get mad or fix it. Life is about problems and solutions. And if there is a problem brought to us in any way, instead of complaining about it or retaliating or anything of that sort, I always say, well, what's the solution? How are we going to fix this? But it first starts with us. We seek the help if we don't know exactly how, which is coaches like Dave and myself, and many of us. Then you go into community where there's plenty of people that you can relate to. We have the Connected Leaders Academy. We have BLN. We have AMA. We have Unleash You Now. We have the Underdog Millionaire. We have all these communities that we're a part of. And let me tell you that my growth has changed exponentially since I've been in this community since May of last year. And I think, Dave, we've met for a couple months now, right? Probably like October-ish. And, you know, being in community and just seeing, you know, the growth and everything that we're a part of has helped. Now, are we perfect? No. Do we have doubts day in and day out at times? Yes. But, you know, it's that inner voice. It's that inner hater that we have within ourselves. We can only be our only critics. And that's the person you really have to kind of silence or shut down so that you can really move forward, right? So I just love everything that you have. Tell us about what you actually have going on now, what things are coming up, and have a chat.
Yeah. Wow. What's going on, man? It's just, there's so much going on. I am blessed. And it's one of those things that we learn from what we've come from to who we are now. How do you focus? And I have the ability to say no a lot more now. That's one of the authentic pieces. I don't, you know, there is the fear of missing out. There is the self-doubt. We get that all the time, and don't sit in it. And you keep moving your energy. So what am I doing? I'm finishing several books. Again, during the pandemic, I wrote several books. I didn't finish any of them. Now this year, I'm coming out with a comic book. I am coming out with a bunch of speaking opportunities. I have a speaking opportunity in LA that people can see. And if they want a free ticket, you can get a free ticket. It's online as well. It's called the Best You Conference. It's going to be March 3rd through 5th. I'm speaking on at least 2 stages. I think a third. I just got called about a panel they asked me to be on. So there's opportunities. And then at the end of the month of March, I'm going to be speaking with a friend, Austin J. Haynes, at his new Flashpoint opportunity as well. So it just, you know, there's so many different things that go on as you start putting it out. And then, you know, again, one of our communities, I'm going to be speaking in South Africa, and then next year they're actually doing a tour of South Africa, which is one of my bucket lists. So there's so many opportunities. I would just say have everybody follow me. Anybody who has not already, you know, wanted to follow me, follow me. I will promise you every morning a motivational comment. You might not feel motivated every day because of it, but move through whatever you have to do. And if you don't like that comment that day, that's okay. There's another one tomorrow or later in the day. So, you know, just doing things. I'm writing a lot of books. And one of the books is going to also coming out besides the comic book. Is that's sort of with the artist now. I've already written all the stuff that I need to write. But the book that I'm finishing up that should be published by either later, early part of the next month or the middle of the next month is about baseball. It's how, you know, using our America's pastime really will teach us everything. And you don't have to be a big baseball fan for it, because it's all about finding that peace and love. The book is about finding that sweet spot in our life, just using some references about baseball. So you don't have to necessarily be a big, huge baseball fan to get the jibe of it. But it'll be a little fun book because I like to have some fun. And look, I think you and I are talking about me possibly coming down on May 20th to the BALM conference. The one day
to inspire. You know, I was going to say it. I was just waiting for you to let me put my plug in there. But absolutely, I would love to have you bless our stage, because I've heard you speak firsthand, and it's just nothing but positivity, inspiration. If you are not motivated by all the speakers that we're going to have, I'm not even going to say that you're not going to be motivated, because you are. So I'll let you finish up what you have.
I think when you're around those type of speakers, you know, you'll even if it's stuff that you've already heard, sometimes we need those reminders. So you asked me earlier, what do you tell people who are feeling less good? And again, it's the language we use. That's why I say less good instead of bad. I don't use the word depression unless you're clinically diagnosed. You could be sad, you could be extremely sad, but I also know the difference between that. And that's why when people come to me and say, I'm depressed, can you help me with that? Depression is a diagnosis. I can't. Coaches cannot. And any coach who says that they can help you with depression is working outside if you've been clinically depressed, and it's just one of the big things I talk about. But if you're really sad, I can help you. That's why when somebody stopped me can you help with PTSD? No. Diagnose. Can I help you with traumas? Yeah, I got magic tools, man. I always talk about rubbing your hands. There's so many magic tools that I have. It's great when I start using it and you see changes in people's lives. And that's what I'm trying to do this year is be as many places, podcasts, opportunities. So far this year, I've already been on over 20 podcasts, including running my own business, running my own podcast, and and all the other crazy stuff I'm doing. I love keeping busy.
I love it. I feel like my calendar is just all sorts of rainbow colors. It's just filled with different activity. But I love every interaction I have with every person because it's all about longevity. It's all about that authentic relationship that we're building in not only our communities, but our connections communities as well, because we all have a message. And I believe I remember what I was going to tell you earlier, and it was about breaking through some of those limiting beliefs and actually taking action on it. So I had spoke to someone over the weekend through Messenger, and I was telling them, I see that you have this great community going on, and I want to know what it's about. Even though I have my own Ladies of Leadership community, this young lady is, has her ladies community, and I loved her message. I loved her stuff, and why wouldn't I want to be a part of that, regardless if I have my own community or not? Like my whole point, my whole purpose is to inspire, to lift women up and make sure that they have the tools that they need to succeed. Because why are we going to make it to the top by ourselves? It's really no fun by ourselves. So when you have people like Dave on your corner and everyone else that you just build relationships with, people that are going to actually pour into you. And, unfortunately, we, don't have some of our family and our friends really believing in what we do, right? And that's another thing that people kind of stop going for their hopes and dreams because they have those outside voices talking in their ear saying, oh, well, I know you this type of person, so I don't believe that or you've tried many things and many avenues and people just don't believe you anymore. They were like, well, are you going to pick something? So these are just different things that people go through when they become
those are all limiting statements. So you can limit your statement, but being in more than one community, that's good. You get more than one thinking, and try not to be in the same type of community across the board. You want to have different thinkings. And that's why I'm creating my own community this year called Lone Wolf Squadron. So you can either fly by yourself or you can fly with a group. It's your choice. You can do everything by yourself, but it's always good to have wing people to kind of get your back. It's not about business. I don't really want to even talk about business all the time. You get overloaded with making connections. I want to talk about people. I want to, have people read Nikki's book, have people read other people's books. We'd have a book. We're going to have a kind of one day where we talk about books, and you can either be participated. And even if you didn't read the book, there's always things you could talk about without even knowing it, because it's our experiences. That's what happened over the weekend, right? That it was that hard healing, and you didn't know where it was going to go, but it was all about creating that safe space. And when we fly, when it's your time to soar, you want to fly safe. You want to make sure you have a safe place to fly. And I think that's really what's most important.
Yeah, I think that event that Jessica and Raul put together was absolutely phenomenal. I seen breakthroughs, I seen tears, I seen healing, and that's the first thing I asked for. That was my expectation. I didn't know what to expect. I knew that we were talking about love and hardships and things like that, but I really believe people were so moved. I mean, we all witnessed it, and we all felt something for someone or for ourselves. So to see the magic that happened when you're in community, and I think there was like maybe 20 of us, and it was just so beautiful. It was just so beautiful to watch. So, oh my God, it has been absolutely, Dave. Thank you so much for now joining the BALM family. So excited to have you back really, really soon. Do you have any last word and messages for our audience?
Yeah, how I leave my podcast or I talk about it is I hope I planted some seeds in your community, in your, and so that way they'll grow, nurture them. That's what it is. It's not just planting seeds; it's nurturing all the pieces. And if I've nurtured it, I hope I provided you some peace for today or some thoughts to bring you your own peace. I don't do it; it's your choice. And if you've got some peace, I hope you then celebrate the love for yourself. Make sure it starts with yourself. And when you bring it back, I hope you hit the sweet spot. And I hope I was able to knock it out of the park for you, Nikki, as well as everybody else.
You definitely knocked it out the park for me and then some. And that's why I love hosting these podcasts, because it's actually a tool for myself, for my growth. Even though I'm the interviewee and some great stuff are said, and I go back and I rewatch them, I take the notes, I put those tips into action. So as a host doing this, I hope that the audience is capturing this love, this knowledge, and everything that we're pouring into them. And you definitely delivered for sure. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you again to the BALM audience for tuning in to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset. As I always say, have a day and make it count.